Imagine waking up one day and realizing that years have passed, but your dreams stayed exactly where they were. Not because you lacked talent, not because life was unfair, but because laziness quietly stole your time. One delay, one excuse, one "I'll do it tomorrow" at a time. Laziness does not arrive like an enemy with noise and warning. It enters like comfort. It tells you to rest a little longer, scroll a little more, wait for motivation, start next week. And while you wait, life keeps moving. One day becomes 1 month. 1 month becomes 1 year. And suddenly, you are standing in front of a version of yourself you never wanted to become. Stop waiting to feel ready. This is one of the greatest lies that laziness has ever taught people. Somewhere along the way, many people started believing they must feel motivated before they act. They tell themselves, "I'll start when I have energy. I'll begin when I feel confident. I'll work when the mood comes." But days pass, weeks pass, nothing changes. Because motivation is not the beginning of action. Action is the beginning of motivation. Think about how many dreams are sitting unfinished right now, not because people cannot do them, but because they are waiting for a feeling that never arrives. They are waiting for perfect conditions, perfect timing, perfect energy. But life does not reward people who wait. Life rewards people who move. Imagine standing at the edge of cold water. Every part of your body tells you not to jump. Your mind says, "Not now, later, tomorrow." But the moment you step in, something changes. Your body adapts. Your fear weakens. Your mind becomes quiet. That is how growth works. Movement creates momentum. You do not become ready and then act. You act, and readiness appears. Look at people who achieve extraordinary things. Do you think they wake up every morning excited and inspired? No. There are days they are tired, days they doubt themselves, days they want comfort more than progress. But they move anyway. A student opens the book even when concentration is missing. An athlete trains even when energy feels low. An entrepreneur starts before certainty exists. That is why they grow while others remain stuck. There is a hidden danger in waiting to feel ready. It feels productive while keeping you inactive. You convince yourself you are preparing, thinking, planning, but deep inside, you know you are avoiding. Laziness rarely says, "Give up." It says, "Not today." And that sentence has destroyed more dreams than failure ever did. Understand this clearly. Your feelings cannot always be trusted. Some mornings your mind will tell you to sleep. Some evenings it will tell you to quit. Some days it will whisper that you are not capable. Do not build your life on whispers. Build it on decisions. Tell yourself, "I do not need motivation to begin. I need courage for the first step." Open the laptop. Write the first sentence. Take the first walk. Read the first page. Do one small thing. Because once motion starts, resistance begins to die. And one day, you will look back and realize something powerful. The life you wanted did not begin on the day you felt ready. It began on the day you stopped waiting. Train your mind to win small battles. Most people believe success is created in giant moments. They imagine one powerful decision, one lucky opportunity, one dramatic transformation that changes everything overnight. But that is not how real strength is built. Your life changes in the quiet moments, the moments nobody sees, the moments where there is no applause. The battle is not won when the world watches you. It is won when your alarm rings and nobody is there to force you out of bed. That is where discipline begins. Every day your mind presents you with small battles. Wake up now, or sleep 10 more minutes. Finish the work, or scroll endlessly. Exercise today, or promise yourself tomorrow. These decisions look small. They feel harmless. But repeated enough times, they become your identity. People think laziness appears suddenly. It doesn't. It grows through tiny acts of surrender. And discipline is built through tiny acts of victory. Imagine two people standing at the same starting line. Both have goals. Both want success. But one person keeps choosing comfort in small moments. The other keeps choosing action. 1 year later, their lives look completely different. Not because one had more talent, but because one trained their mind to obey decisions instead of emotions. Think about an athlete preparing before sunrise. Nobody is cheering. Nobody is recording. Their body is tired. Their bed is warm. Yet they get up. Why? Because they understand something powerful. Every small promise kept becomes evidence. Evidence that says, I can trust myself. That trust becomes confidence. Confidence becomes discipline. Discipline becomes results. And results change lives. Do not underestimate the power of making your bed. Finishing the task you said you would finish. Arriving on time. Taking the walk. Reading the pages. Turning off distractions. These actions seem ordinary, but they are not ordinary. They are training. Every small victory tells your brain, I am in control. Every excuse tells your brain, comfort is in control. You are teaching yourself every day, whether you realize it or not. There will be mornings when your mind negotiates with you. It will say, skip today. You deserve rest. Start tomorrow. And tomorrow will sound reasonable. It always does. But remember this, your future is being built right now. In moments so small they almost seem invisible. Do not wait for giant opportunities to prove your strength. Win the next hour. Win the next decision. Win the next promise. Because a powerful life is not created by one heroic act. It is created by thousands of silent victories, stacked together until one day people call you disciplined, focused, unstoppable. But they never saw what really happened. You simply learned to win the small battles. And once you can win those, laziness no longer controls your life. Replace comfort with purpose. Laziness survives because comfort feels safe. It does not arrive wearing the face of failure. It arrives wearing the face of relief. It whispers, you've done enough. It says, rest a little longer. It tells you that there will always be another day, another chance, another moment to begin. And slowly, without noticing, comfort becomes your lifestyle. That is the danger, because comfort is not always peace. Sometimes comfort is the quiet prison that keeps people living far below their potential. Look around. How many dreams disappeared, not because people lacked ability, but because they chose what felt easy over what mattered. They chose temporary pleasure over lasting growth. They stayed in familiar routines because discomfort felt too difficult. But growth has never lived inside comfort. Nothing powerful is created there. A seed breaks before it becomes a tree. Iron burns before it becomes steel. Muscles tear before they become stronger. Transformation demands discomfort. Think about someone training for a marathon. Every morning their body says, stop. Their legs ache. Their breathing becomes heavy. Comfort says, go home. But purpose says, keep moving. Months later, they cross a finish line that once seemed impossible. The finish line did not belong to talent. It belonged to purpose. Purpose gives meaning to struggle. Without purpose, hard work feels painful. With purpose, hard work becomes meaningful. This is why some people wake up early with energy while others cannot move. It is not because life is easier for them. It is because they know what they are moving toward. When your reason becomes stronger than your excuses, your habits begin to change. Ask yourself a difficult question. What is your comfort costing you? That extra hour of delay, that endless scrolling, that decision to avoid effort. What is it taking from your future? Maybe comfort is stealing your confidence. Maybe it is stealing opportunities. Maybe it is stealing years you can never recover. People think purpose appears suddenly like inspiration. It doesn't. Purpose is built through commitment. You create it every time you choose what matters over what feels easy. Every workout instead of excuses. Every page instead of distraction. Every difficult conversation instead of avoidance. Every step forward instead of staying still. And understand this clearly. Purpose does not remove pain. It makes pain worth carrying. There will still be hard mornings. There will still be moments when comfort calls your name, but purpose reminds you who you want to become. One path gives temporary relief and long-term regret. The other gives temporary struggle and long-term pride. Choose carefully, because your future self is watching your decisions today. Do not build a comfortable life that leaves you empty. Build a meaningful life that makes you proud. Replace comfort with purpose, and watch how laziness begins to lose its power over you. Master your daily habits. People love dramatic stories. They love the idea of sudden success, overnight transformation, one powerful moment that changes everything forever. But real life is quieter than that. Success does not usually arrive with noise. It arrives through repetition, through ordinary mornings, through choices so small they seem unimportant. And that is exactly why most people miss it. They underestimate the power of daily habits. They wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect routine. They wait for a new month, a new year, a new beginning. Meanwhile, their current habits continue writing their future without permission. Your habits are creating your life, whether you notice them or not. Look at someone who reads 10 pages every day. One day feels meaningless. 1 week feels invisible. But after 1 year, they have consumed thousands of pages and transformed the way they think. Look at someone who trains 30 minutes a day. One workout changes nothing. But months later, their energy changes, their confidence changes, their identity changes. Now reverse it. 1 hour wasted seems harmless. 1 missed day seems harmless. 1 excuse seems harmless. But repeated daily, small failures become a lifestyle. That is how laziness wins. Not through one big defeat, through small, repeated surrender. Imagine water falling on stone. 1 drop changes nothing, but thousands of drops reshape the rock. Your habits work the same way. Every action leaves a mark. Every repeated decision shapes who you become. People often say, "I want to change my life." But life changes when routines change. You cannot create a disciplined future with undisciplined days. You cannot build confidence while constantly breaking promises to yourself. You cannot expect greatness from random effort. Mastering habits means creating standards. You wake up because you said you would. You finish because you started. You show up even when nobody notices, especially when nobody notices, because habits are proof of character. Anyone can work hard when emotions are high. Anyone can be motivated after watching a video or hearing inspiring words. But what happens on the ordinary day? What happens when there is no excitement? That is where your future is decided. The strongest people are not controlled by moods. Their habits carry them. They do not ask themselves every morning whether they feel like moving. They move. They trust the system they built. And over time, those ordinary actions create extraordinary results. Do not chase massive change overnight. Start with 1 habit. Wake up on time. Read daily. Exercise consistently. Work without distraction for 1 focused hour. Protect that habit. Repeat it until it becomes automatic. Then build another and another. One day, people will look at your success and call it talent. But you will know the truth. Your life did not change because of 1 big moment. It changed because you mastered the invisible actions that happened every single day. Master your habits, and laziness will no longer decide your future. Eliminate excuses and take ownership. There comes a moment in every person's life when they face a difficult truth. The life they want and the life they are living are separated by 1 thing: excuses. Excuses are dangerous because they sound intelligent. They sound reasonable. They protect your comfort while quietly stealing your future. I'm too tired. I don't have enough time. I'll start when things get better. I'm waiting for the right opportunity. And the worst part is, many of these excuses feel true. But truth alone does not create change. Responsibility does. Look carefully at your own life. How many times have you delayed something important and blamed circumstances? How many dreams are still waiting because conditions were not perfect? The problem with excuses is not that they stop you for 1 day. The problem is they teach your mind that your progress depends on external conditions. And once that belief takes root, your power disappears. Because if your success depends on perfect timing, perfect energy, perfect people, or perfect situations, you will always remain powerless. Ownership changes everything. Ownership says, maybe conditions are difficult, but I will move anyway. Ownership says, I may not control everything, but I control my response. Ownership says, this life belongs to me. Think about two people facing the same challenge. One says, I can't do this because life is unfair. The other says, this situation is difficult, but I will find a way. Months later, their circumstances may still be imperfect, but their direction becomes completely different. Because excuses create waiting. Ownership creates movement. Look at people who build remarkable lives. They are not people with easy paths. Many of them started with disadvantages, setbacks, failures, rejection, uncertainty. But they refused to surrender responsibility. They stopped asking, why is this happening to me? And started asking, what can I do now? That question changes everything. Because ownership turns obstacles into action. Understand this clearly. Taking ownership does not mean blaming yourself for everything. It means refusing to give away your ability to act. You stop pointing at your past. You stop negotiating with your mood. You stop expecting someone else to rescue your dreams. You become the person who responds. Every time you catch yourself making an excuse, pause and ask, what action can I take today? Not next week. Not when motivation appears. Today. Maybe the action is small. Send the message. Open the book. Start the workout. Make the plan. Do the work. Small actions destroy excuses because they create evidence that progress is possible. Your future is not waiting for better conditions. It is waiting for stronger decisions. The day you stop explaining why you cannot and start proving why you can, everything begins to change. Eliminate excuses. Take ownership. Because the moment you fully accept responsibility for your next move, laziness loses its hiding place. Become the person who acts no matter what. This is the moment where everything changes. Because after all the lessons, all the plans, all the promises you make to yourself, there is one final question that decides your future. Will you act, even when you do not feel like it? Most people live under the control of emotions. If they feel motivated, they work. If they feel confident, they begin. If they feel inspired, they move. But emotions are unstable. Some days they lift you. Some days they disappear. If your actions depend on feelings, your progress will always be unpredictable. That is why discipline becomes freedom. The strongest people are not the ones who always feel ready. They are the ones who keep moving when readiness never comes. Think about the sunrise. Every morning it appears. Not because conditions are perfect, not because the sky asks for permission. It rises because that is what it does. Imagine becoming like that. Imagine becoming someone whose standards are stronger than temporary emotions. You wake up and do the work. You train, you study, you build, you create. Not because you feel amazing, but because you decided who you are. Look at the people who inspire the world. The artist who creates despite self-doubt. The athlete who trains through exhaustion. The student who studies while others sleep. The business owner who keeps showing up after rejection. People see the results and call it talent. But behind the scenes, there were countless moments when quitting felt easier. They continued anyway. That is the hidden secret. Extraordinary lives are built by ordinary people who refuse to stop. There will be mornings when your bed feels impossible to leave. Days when your mind says, skip it. Moments when progress feels invisible. And this is where most people lose. Not because they cannot succeed, but because they obey temporary discomfort. Do not make that mistake. Your feelings are visitors. Your decisions are foundations. Create a rule for yourself. I act first. Feelings follow. When you do not want to train, train. When you do not want to write, write. When you do not want to begin, begin. Not to punish yourself, but to prove something powerful, that your life belongs to your decisions, not your moods. And something incredible starts happening. Every time you act despite resistance, you become stronger. Every time you move despite excuses, your confidence grows. Every time you keep your word to yourself, your identity changes. Eventually, action becomes natural. Discipline becomes normal. And the person who once waited for motivation no longer exists. One day people will ask you how you became so focused, so consistent, so unstoppable. And your answer will be simple. I stopped waiting to feel ready. I stopped negotiating with comfort. I became the person who acts no matter what. That is how laziness ends. That is how greatness begins.